If you can, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. You may be seated.
Welcome boarding school board members and boarding families. My name is Jason Garcia, music teacher at Ptarmigan Ridge. In my experience, there are a few songs that transcend differences between cultures and generations because of their timelessness and ability to connect with human experience. Tonight, these third graders, who chose to call themselves the Musical Mountaineers, they voted on it, are going to perform one such song. This is Lean on Me, composed and performed by the late, great Bill Withers. It's a song about empathy, kindness, and friendship. So, according to Wikipedia, Mr. Withers' hometown of Slab Fork, West Virginia, was the inspiration for Lean on Me, which he wrote after he had moved to LA and found himself missing the strong community values of his hometown. So our version of this song will combine singing with the performance of barred instruments. We hope you enjoy Lean on Me. Didn't these musical mountaineers do an amazing job? All right. These students have shown exceptional dedication by attending practices held outside of their normal class and by working independently to memorize the lyrics of the song and their instrumental part. In previous years, my students have performed using boom whackers, which are really fun plastic tubes, but it only gives students access to 2 notes, one for each hand. This year I wanted to provide students more opportunity to apply their prior knowledge of barred instruments. So I arranged this song for xylophones, metallophones, and glockenspiels. Instruments such as these give students access to all the notes in the melody, while allowing them to harmonize by playing 2 bars at the same time. The rigor of their learning was further increased by having students singing memorized lyrics while performing their specific xylophone part. So there's 2 parts. There's one that is assigned to the large group of barred instruments over here. Those are the altos, tenors, and basses. And over here in the small group are the sopranos and the glockenspiels. So they had to learn separate parts for those. So basically they're playing the same rhythm, but they have dedicated separate notes to that. So during the learning process, students have been introduced to ensemble skills such as performing together and at the correct time, blending and balancing their sounds with others, and performing their part independently to support the ensemble's success. This is the kind of musical teamwork experience that many students don't receive until they are in middle school. I have given these 3rd graders quite a challenge, and I am so proud of how they have risen to meet it. So before I turn the mic over to Board Member Thibodeau, I want to remind families that will not be attending the remainder of the meeting. They may link up with their student just outside the music room door that faces the playground. And please make contact with me before leaving. Also, students whose families are staying for the entire meeting may enter the gym to sit with their family. Board Member Thibodeau.
Which is
also what an amazing experience to see our third graders really perform tonight. As Jason mentioned, he's been working with our students after his day of teaching when he has any open plans, and he's really collaborated with our third grade teachers to make sure that students were able to choose to participate based off of something that they were interested in and loved. I'm going to start by just talking about our overall school goals and where we've started this school year and how far we've come. So this is, surprisingly, it doesn't feel like it, my fourth year here at Ptarmigan Ridge Elementary. And when we first started at Ptarmigan, we really started with our PLT process, our professional learning team process. But we started more about who are we as Ptarmigan Mountaineers as a staff. So we began by identifying our mission, our vision, and then this year we really talked about what do we believe. As a staff, who are we? So in the middle corner, we participated in an activity and we just said, what do we believe as a staff about Ptarmigan Ridge and our students? And so I just want to read that to you because I do believe that this is what fosters everything we do at PTR. And it is that as a staff, we believe in creating a caring, inclusive, and safe community where every student feels valued, heard, and supported through strong relationships, open communication, and teamwork. We foster growth, empathy, creativity, and self-agency, empowering students and staff to take ownership of their learning and celebrate accomplishments together. And we've had the honor of being able to see that throughout projects and opportunities that staff have taken and really taken their own agency to identify their passions and what they want to do with students. This year, Rebecca Bunker and Dana Osling, who are absolutely in love with science, decided they would host the first Invention Convention. This is something that they brought to me and just said, we'd love to do this. And I said, I would love for you to do it too. But please, I'm out. You handle this. If this is your passion, I want to see you thrive in that. And they did absolutely amazing. I don't know if you had the opportunity to see some of the pictures and the videos that the district put out. And that was all run by our teachers. We also have Marianne Portman, who every year values that reading, who organizes a reading night for our families. So this year was Reading Across the Rainbow, where she enlists teachers to come and families are welcome to really learn about playing games with students, building students' fluency in reading and skills. This year we also hired Natalia Gurel, who's our new multilingual learner teacher, and she and our MLL teacher over at OES are hosting the first ever multilingual learner family night, which will happen at the end of the month. Really ensuring that we do want to see families present and where all families belong here at PTR. Our project every year that is done by Ms. Huff really enlists both students, families. During open house, we ask families to add a piece to it, and our staff, so that you see that right when you walk in. And so everybody has a part here. Additionally, our staff really believe in working together. Last year we sent a team to go to the Professional Learning Communities Conference. And at the end of the year, we surveyed our staff and we said, what's working, what's not working, and what do we need more of? And so we used the EAA protocol as a PLT, our Building Leadership Team. And we identified some really specific steps that we wanted to continue and we wanted to grow. One of those that came out was really around that student goal setting. Some of our teams really started that last year and they saw excellent success and they wanted to move in that direction so that all students are goal setting. They all understand the purpose of learning and they're systematically as a team collecting and analyzing data so that they can work with students about what that looks like for them. And you're going to learn a lot more about that within our first goal and with Ms. Todd and Ms. Hipple when we talk about those goals.
All right, we knew that we had something amazing going on with the hard work and the skill that was happening in the PLT work and thinking about the thinking that was going on there. And so we really used that as kind of a launching point to restructure some of the other foundational supports that we have available for students and for the adults that are working with them. And so we really spent some really intentional, dedicated time in the fall retooling our systems for getting that next level of support. And we really rooted that in the strength of our PLC teams. So building on that collaborative data analysis that we talked about, really using that and the wisdom in our grade level teams to think deeply about what's a next level intervention for students who need something more. Within that, we really embedded monitoring systems, access to resources. We just worked on that form over and over and over so that the tools were right there for those teams to dig into those things. And then having a built-in monitoring system, some simple, easy ways to collect some data to come back to measure the effectiveness of those interventions. And then did that same process with that tier 3. So students who don't make that progress we would want to see with that intense level of tier 2 interventions that teams are working together on. And it really was a cycle of, here's your idea for the system, let's learn about it together, what questions do you have, retool the system. Let's watch a team, you'll see in the middle, we had a pretty amazing team willing to let us fishbowl. They practiced it live in time, and then people said, okay, here's our questions, and here are the what-ifs, and we went back and made some changes, and then came back and tried it together as a team, and we really just did that very systematically with both the tier 2 and tier 3, and I envision we will do that here at the end of the year as well, as we're just trying to really build that system in the strength of the work of our classroom teachers. All right, which leads us into our first goal, our academic goal, and we set the goal that by the end of the year, we wanted to see 15% more students in our grades 3 through 5 meet or exceed proficiency in ELA and math on SBA, and that's coming up soon. We're eager to see what happens there. We also wanted to break that down to seeing 20% more students in K2 meeting proficiency using our new iReady in both math and reading. And again, leveraging, you're gonna hear this theme, leveraging that strong work that's happening in PLTs to a real systematic process. And I'm gonna actually turn it over to an expert who's gonna tell you all about what that looks like.
I'm not sure if I'm an expert, but you know, I do my best. At the beginning of the year, we started to learn about the core competencies, and at PLT, we began to unimine and dig in and see where in our units are these standards showing up, and what do we need to do if they're not. We were thinking, like, what do we want our students to learn? How will we know that they've learned it? But most importantly, how will our students know what they're learning, and how will they know whether they're successful at it? This is something I think that we struggle with sometimes, and students struggle with. The core competencies helped students develop that understanding. I'll be honest, when I first read the core competency, it was like, what is this, and what do I do with it? So what I did is I actually just brought it to my students. I wrote the core competency on a big sticky note, and I said, okay, by the end of the year, we gotta be able to do this. And how are we going to do that? And I was like, first, what do these big words mean? Do we know what these words mean? And we developed a common language. We put it in the student language, and we analyzed we analyzed the core competencies. We broke them down. We put it in their own words, and honestly, I think they were better at it than we were. They knew what those words meant, and I was like, wait, you guys know what it means to analyze? I must be just a really great teacher. And so together we built a common language, a clear success criteria, and within that unit, that lesson, I started to see immediate success. They were like, this character's doing this, and that's an action. That means I'm successful today, which is really exciting to see. So as they became more confident and more aware of their learning, they were able to talk about what they were learning, why they were learning it, and what they need to do by the end of the year. Then I decided to share this with Nikki, which led me here today. I also had a chance to share it with our staff during their staff PD, so I got to walk the staff through the process. And now the staff is actually doing this process within their classrooms as well. So that's really exciting. And then today you guys will get to see it in action.
prepare to see if you're as smart as a fourth grader in Andrea Hippel's classroom here in a little bit for rotations. It is exciting. Here's just a little glimpse of what we're already seeing. This is our iReady data. And of course, we want to see the red and yellows decrease and the green increase there. And we have some great increase already meeting. This was just at our mid-year data point. We have one more this year. We already have met that growth goal for our iReady reading for students. And same in math, seeing that shift there. And so we are really excited to see what happens with our final end of the year and the work coming out of for SBA. So our goal 2 is a returning goal for us with a little stretch. So last year we really made a commitment to increasing our communication with our Ptarmigan families. And so we committed to sending postcards and just saying, hey, here's what's a growth area for your student. Here's a way they're really demonstrating one of our core qualities for the month. And this year we wanted to add on to that our stretch then is really thinking about our students that we've identified in what's called a progress group. Our students who are really focusing in on some growth and really engaging in some meaningful communication with families about where students are, having students participate in here's my goal, what are your thoughts? So I'm going to turn it over to Nicole Sokroski, who's going to tell us how that is looking like in her classroom.
Good evening, Guardian families. You could tell I was confident and in front of the stand. Most teachers are like, oh. I'm a fourth grade teacher here at PTR. My name is Mrs. Sokroski, and today I just want to share how we've been using positive parent communication as a system to support student success. In my classroom, communication is really not just about reporting problems. It's really about building that partnership with families, because when families feel informed and supported, students are more accountable, they're more confident, and they're more successful. And I've created a communication system that focuses on being proactive, clear, and consistent. As part of our school improvement plan, I've also prioritized sending positive postcards home to celebrate our student effort, growth, and positive changes or continued effort with on-task behavior. This helps us build strong relationships with our families and ensures that communication is not just problem-based, but it's also focused on recognizing student success. In addition to postcards, I regularly communicate with families through academic updates and clear explanations of what we're learning. My goal is that parents are never surprised. They always know what their child is working on, how we're doing it, and how they can support them and help them to move through it. One of my biggest priorities is making communication really easy and simple to understand. So I try to avoid all that educational jargon, and instead I just try to explain things in a way that parents can actually use at home. So for example, instead of just saying that a student is missing their work, I try to explain what the assignment is, what we've been doing in class, and what the next step is and how they can complete it. I also make sure every message includes a way for parents to support their child, whether that's breaking an assignment into a smaller step for them, using a sentence starter, practicing a skill we're working on in class, or giving them an extended deadline for an assignment, because I would rather have a late assignment than no assignment. I've also found that parents, they want to help. They just really need clear, specific, and timely information, and I've seen that reflected in their responses that you can see up on the screen. One parent shared that after watching a short video that I provided, both they and their child were able to understand a math strategy, and they were able to use it on the test the next day. Another parent shared that the communication they received this year has given them more abilities to support their child than ever before. They said that knowing what units we're working on, when the test dates are coming up, and where their child is struggling has made it easier to support them at home. Another parent shared that the videos, all the practice tests, and the consistent updates have helped them feel more involved in their child's learning. Because of that, they feel confident encouraging their child to come to school the next day and ask more questions, and their child is staying more engaged here at school. What really stands out to me is that when communication is clear and consistent, the families feel more empowered to be active in their learning.
And when this happens, I've seen a direct impact on the students here at school. I've seen increased work completion, stronger academic performance, and improved accountability. When students know that both their teacher and their families are working together, they come to school differently, and they show up in the most positive way. To me, communication is not just about keeping parents informed, it's about building a relationship that supports the students. When families feel informed, supported, and valued, students are more successful both academically and socially. Thank you for taking the time to listen and for coming to see the great work we're doing here at PTR.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm going to talk about our whole child school-wide goal. So last year we really dug into our panorama data, and we decided instead of looking at a broad spectrum of information, say under something like growth mindset, we really wanted to dive into what are the questions of students and how are they answering. And so last year we narrowed our focus into one specific question, and actually in that question it was whether or not students believe they can complete the hardest work provided, and that was the one CSIP goal actually last year that we met, that our students overall, we wanted to increase it to 70% of students believed that, and they did. So this year, learning from last year, we decided that we, again, wanted to dive into the data and really narrow our focus into what students are seeing and our lowest scoring, but also the spot that will prevent students from continuing to build confidence in their learning and getting the support they needed. So this year we focused on whether or not students will try again or ask for help from a teacher or a peer when presented with a problem that they don't successfully complete the first time. Here you can see in the beginning, from fall to winter, in students in K2, we actually saw an increase of 15% of students really persevering to reach that goal and trying again. In our 3 through 5, for students who make a mistake, we saw an increase of 1%, although that looks like it's not a huge jump, in all reality it is. Schoolwork gets really hard from fall to winter, and so the fact that our students are still trying and asking for support is really important to us. To talk about how we're really working to build that confidence, I'm going to turn it over to our counselor, Ms. Winters.
All right, so I'm just going to give you a brief little snapshot on our whole child intervention plan. At the heart of the program is our trait of the month, where we focus on one specific virtue like kindness, responsibility, or self-management, to create a unified language across the building. To ensure this isn't just a poster on the wall, we utilize 2 main communication channels. So we send out newsletters. A newsletter we send out to families are sent bi-weekly, so it defines the trait, and it provides families with at-home practice ideas so the learning doesn't just stop at school. For staff receive a weekly newsletter that's packed with at-school strategies, like books that can be read together, discussion topics from morning meetings, or activities that can be done in the classroom. We also have our Mountaineer tickets, which are a school-wide recognition system. Any staff member can write a Mountaineer ticket when they catch a student demonstrating our monthly trait. But we don't just stop at handing out a slip of paper. Every week we highlight these wins during the morning announcements to build school-wide pride. And when a student's name is called, they get to use their agency in coming down to the office and choosing for themselves what kind of reward they want. So it makes the recognition personal and meaningful. Then once a month we gather as a full community for our student assemblies. We actually had one of them today, and they serve as kind of a rally point. We use this time to celebrate our Mountaineer ticket winners. A lot of other achievements are celebrated. Every student who is recognized during the assembly will get their picture taken and is featured on our Mountaineer Hall of Fame, so you can see one up there. So there's representation from every single grade. Let's see. It transforms our SEL goals from a curriculum into a shared culture, because again, this is right in the front of the building, so if you're walking through, you see it. And kids are like, oh, that's my friend, and it's very, very cute. Then we also provide the how-to through our monthly classroom SEL lessons. So while the newsletters and the tickets provide the environment, the lessons in the classrooms help to teach the skills. So once a month, either our MTSS and SEL specialist, Mrs. Lean, or myself will teach a dedicated deep dive lesson into a specific topic. So those lessons are designed to be interactive and age appropriate, giving students the actual tools like conflict resolution steps or self-regulation techniques that they need to be successful in order to practice them in real life as they age. Let's see. By aligning our newsletters, our recognition system, our assemblies, and our direct instruction, we ensure that every student is surrounded by a consistent message of character. Our goal is that by the time a student leaves us, these traits aren't just things they've heard of, they're part of who they are.
And in a moment, you will actually be able to watch one of those lessons with some of our students. For our student support systems, we actually looked at our data in previous years and current years, and one of the things that we noticed per our previous CSIP plan is we really focused on that K2 reading foundational skills. But in looking at our data, we had a huge gap of students who were 2 or more grade levels below and 3 through 5, which really hinders their ability to continue to grow because 3 through 5 really focuses on those comprehension skills, not those foundational reading skills. So we set that goal actually to look at all of our data, and our goal is that 70% of our students who scored in fall based off of iReady at 2 or more grade levels below will actually increase at least by 1 grade level, closing the achievement gap by our students. Some of the programs that we implemented this year in our 3 through 5 is we implemented UFly, which is a phonics-based direct instruction for foundational reading skills. We also, at the Tier 3 level, implemented SIPS, which is, again, a phonological awareness, phonics and sight words program, and this is in our 3-5 grades. And then we also really worked on using those DI through bookworms to start organizing where students had gaps and holes so that our title team, which is phenomenal, is able to then start placing kids appropriately into those intervention groups to show growth. We also have our teachers at each grade level really targeting that instruction. For UFly, we added that to as part of our core instruction throughout the day until we had enough growth within our students so that we could move that to our differentiated instruction time. And that was all done through teachers looking at that data. But I have Megan Todd here, who is going to present how her team in 5th grade uses data to really support students through goal setting to increase their reading skills.
Good evening, school board directors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I want to take a few minutes to share how we support students through goal setting, targeted instruction, and ongoing progress monitoring in 5th grade. In our classroom, goal setting happens in 2 ways. Long-term goals are written, short-term goals are verbal and built into daily instruction. This balance allows us to track growth over time while staying flexible and responsive to student needs. One consistent expectation we have is that students complete at least 3 iReady lessons each week. To build motivation and ownership, we use an iReady Go-Getter wall where students track lessons passed. Students update this every 5 lessons, creating a visible sense of progress. We also use goal folders where students reflect on their fall and winter diagnostic and set spring diagnostic goals based on their typical and stretched growth. We also set long-term reading, math, and personal goals and connect goal setting to state assessment data from the previous year. Students reflect on their 4th grade SBA scores, and we guide them through thinking about how they felt about their scores, what they think helped them during the test, and what they could do differently to improve this year. From that reflection, we work with students to set a personalized goal for this year's SBA. This helps students not just see a score, but understand their role in improving it. This helps students understand not just where they are, but where they're going. During small group instruction, we focus heavily on weekly verbal goals. This is where we define the skill focus for the week, talk about what success looks like, have students explain the goals in their own words. Because this happens in real time, students can ask questions, get immediate feedback, stay focused on exactly what they need to improve. We use a tool in iReady called grade level planning, scaffolding, to guide instruction. iReady groups students into 4 levels: ready to go, additional support, in-depth support, and needs support decoding. Each group receives targeted instruction based on their needs. Mrs. Kesterson and I work closely together to review lessons, identify misconceptions and skill gaps, plan instruction across the week. We then split groups and students rotate between Ms. Kesterson and I during instruction time. During group time, we review the weekly goal daily. Students understand their level and their expectations. Students know that when they pass a mastery test at the end of the week, they move to the next level, grade level. We make sure they understand what success looks like before they test. At the end of the week, if they pass their test, they move up to the next grade level. If they don't, we meet with them, review their work, and set a plan for the next time. This ensures no student is left behind in this process. We also use a shared spreadsheet to track where students started and where their mastery progress over time. This allows us to show their students their growth and make informed instructional decisions. About once a month, we meet with our students to review their iReady personalized instruction summary. Students can clearly see their growth and current level. This makes their learning visible and meaningful. This system helps students take ownership of their learning while allowing us to provide targeted, responsive instruction. Thank you.
So I just want to show from fall to winter iReady scores and the growth we are already making in that area through our Tier 3 intense instructional groupings. And so in 3rd grade, we actually decreased those that were at Tier 3 from 25% to 16%. 4th grade, 28% to 17%. 5th grade, 54% to 41%, making us to our halfway point of our goal at 33% of our students moved 2 or more grade levels from below, increased in their reading ability. And you're going to have the opportunity to learn more from our students, but I'm actually sure you are ready to do. So let's talk about, I'm going to give it to Ms. Hill to talk about being able to explore and work with our teachers and students at this time.
All right, we've heard about some pretty amazing stuff. So we're going to have 3 groups, and each group will have a little timer going and rotation. Families, I know you'll want to hang out at least at first and see your students in action, but you're also welcome to wander around. We've heard some interesting things tonight. We hope you'll explore the other stations as well. So group 1 is going to be with Mrs. Hippel's 4th grade students, breaking down the core competencies. So that's going to be Board President Thibodeau, Director Madigan, and Dr. Westover are going to join us here at group 1. 4th graders, you want to come on up as well and get ready. Group 2, back in the corner with Mrs. Winter and the 2nd grade students, learning about asking for help. Really important strategy, even as an adult. We're going to have Board Director Kinsler, Board Director, I'm going to say this wrong, Milo, thank you, and Superintendent Hanson-Beeler back here in the corner. And then group 3 over here with Ms. Todd's 5th grade students, going to be working on some goal setting. I hope you have some things in mind. And that's going to be Director Fisher, Dr. Lee, Mr. Freeze, and we got Director Fisher twice. Okay.
She threw her arms up, so I just want to let you know Ms. Kesterson is also over in that group. And I noticed quite a few of my teachers teachers right now in the building. I won't name them because I don't want to embarrass them, but if you have further questions, I'm sure they'd be happy to answer them. A lot of expertise in the room.
Okay, we're ready? All right. Join your stations.
Yeah, that concludes our portion of this presentation. Thank you.
communication, again, there was a word, families are empowered with communications, and that's so, so important. And I think that, sending postcards out and stuff is really, really good, and Greater is taking it a step further every time. So, again, a lot more to say, but there's more.
First of all, I wanted to tell you, thank you so much for having the multi-language nights, the reading night, the science night. I love the fact that you're taking their learning into celebrations that they can share with the community and the parents and the family, and that the teachers run with that. Way to go. Okay, and I loved the description for goal 2 that it was partnership and relationship, because that's really what we're all about here. And that you're using the panorama data. Thank you so much, because lots of times we have so much data and then what do you do? Okay? But the data, it has to have a purpose. I mean, and the purpose then is how can we help the kids, so that's wonderful. Goal 3, the newsletters. All those newsletters that explain to parents and teachers both the counseling lessons, the teachers' lessons, when the tests were going to be, lessons that you can use at home. That was just the embodiment of the relationship that I talked about for goal 2, even though that was goal 3. And goal 4, thank you so much for mentioning comprehension interventions. Thank you so much, because that is the SBA. And for both reading and math, it is. And I loved the comment, responsive to the student needs that you made, because that's what we teachers have to do every day, because every class is different, every day is different. So thank you. I had a lovely time. Again.
You're going last. Yeah, they said everything, so safe. But no, super proud of what you guys are doing here as a staff and leadership and interaction with the kids. It's the best part. Let me say, you guys did great, but sitting down with them, right, is where it really is, and you see it, you see the passion that they show us, right? And we're strangers sitting in front of them, right? To the point. So, and they share their heart and they share it from there. And the interaction that we get is just that's what this is all about. So I just love what we're doing and seeing these scores and everything that is getting better, right, through. And I think, back to the team here, right? You guys are buying in, right? You guys are all on board. Let's do this. Let's improve. And I think at the same time, all these students, they're all yours, right? They might go home somewhere else, but those are my kids, right? So, yeah. And so you're on, 100%. Great job.
I think the focus of each one of you, like being a team, like that's the most amazing thing, because we can't be individual, we have to be a team. And you all talked about that, like, oh, we do this together. I love that. I also love how you talk to the kids. I think there's some great respect shown to them. Like, I grew up a long time ago, and it wasn't like that in my classroom. So, right, it's very structured. We didn't have a voice. We had to sit there, you know what I mean? And watching you guys give these kids a voice and letting them be empowered to use their voice was pretty amazing. And they were all very comfortable with talking about what they're learning. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. We didn't get that. So every time I see that, it just excites me even more to think like, these kids are going to go out in the world, they're going to kick their in, right? They're going to do a great job, right? Because you're empowering them to do that. So thank you very much. I as we're discussing